So I'm sure you've seen the commercials or heard it on the radio where people talk about buying your house in cash, no questions asked, no matter the condition, all of this stuff. Call us. We'll buy your house today. You've seen those type of people. You've heard them on the radio, that kind of stuff. Well, how do they actually operate? How does that work? Is it too good to be true? All those types of things. So I'm going to break that down. Should you be selling to those types of investors? What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Real Talk Real Estate. I'm your host, Mark Cannon, local realtor here in the Phoenix area with my home group real estate and owner of the Benchmark Real Estate team. So obviously this is a podcast format, so I'm going to be talking through everything, and I appreciate all you that listen and leave comments and all that kind of stuff. So today we're talking about investors and the people that you see on TV and the people you hear on the radio where we'll buy it no matter the condition, we'll pay cash today, we'll give you flexibility, we can close quick, whatever. There's tons of these companies. Well, how do they actually work? So I'm going to cover a couple different things. I'm going to cover how they actually operate, and then I'm actually going to cover who should be selling to them, because I'm not going to tell you not to sell to them. I think there are situations where you should be selling to them, and it's a good situation. Now, those are usually far and few between. It's usually not that common, but it depends on the house, and I'm going to talk through that. So the first thing we're going to talk through is how they operate. So you have to understand, let's say, I'm going to use round numbers, okay? Here in Phoenix, our average, I think our median home price is like $450 something or around that price point. So let's say $450 is what your house is worth. They are not offering you that. Typically, they're going to offer you, and I'll do the math real quick, they're going to offer you about 70 to 75% typically. So if you go on there, and it's just like the iBuyers, right? So if the iBuyers were offering you, a number, they're offering you about 70, 75%. Because if you do, let's say 75%, I'll aim high, that's like $337,000. So a lot of times that's where you see these investors, they're offering $100K under, it's not close. And usually when I get listings, I get some of those offers from a lot of these investors. Well, there was this low ball and my clients reject those offers, But what you're seeing from a lot of these people is they have to make a profit and they're trying to buy distressed properties. So they're not going to give you full value. I think the most I've ever seen an investor give in value is 80%. 80% of value, and that was very rare, but that was back in like 2021 when the market was hot. Now with the market being declining here in Phoenix, they're offering 65, 70% of value. And so you have to understand that up front. Like, it sounds good. Oh man, they're going to pay cash. They're going to give me flexibility. Oh, okay. And maybe that does work for you. So this is where the aspect of who's this going to work for. If your house is, let's say, in just original condition. I had a client and they said, hey, we want to call an iBuyer to compare to what you're telling us. I said, go ahead, go for it. Because I knew what was going to happen. And I warned them. I said, they're going to offer you about 70, 75% of value. And that's exactly what happened. And to the guy's credit, he said, listen, you're not really the house we're looking to buy, because their house was original, but it wasn't distressed. It wasn't in bad condition. It was upkept. It was just original inside. And so, they eventually did sell it and it was fine. But it's one of those that what those guys are usually looking for is distressed properties. Now, what do we mean by distressed properties? That's properties that need a lot of work, that are really damaged inside. Like, a lot of times you'll see a lot of rentals get sold to them because the rentals, were trashed inside and it's really bad. And it's going to cost tons of money to renovate it, where they're like, no, we'll just sell it quick and be done with it. So you see people that do that. You'll see some people that need to get out. Maybe they're being foreclosed on or whatever it is, sell to an investor because it's quick, it's fast. Because there are some investment companies that will offer about 80% if they can do a couple things to make, sell it for more. But those companies aren't as common. Typically, we're seeing the guys offer them about 70%. But, a lot of times when people hear that stuff, they think of what happened in 2021 when Zillow and Open Door and OfferPad and all these companies were buying things out the wazoo. That was an asterisk. That is not normal. What Zillow did, where they were paying way over, there's a reason they went bankrupt, is because they lost a lot of money. They lost over, I think it was over $1 billion, right? So it isn't normal. Normal investors are offering around 70% of value, because for them it's convenience. Like, I knew people, they've sold to them where the house wasn't terrible condition, but it wasn't great condition, but they needed multiple months in order to be able to close, and they owned nothing on the house. So it made sense for them. So it does make sense in certain situations. If you need a longer time frame to close and you can get 75, 80% of value, maybe if somebody will give you that, and they'll give you, 9 months to close and you can go find something else or whatever it is, great, that might work for you. Or if there's a super distressed property that's going to cost a lot, depending on the market. Like right now, if a house is pretty distressed, it's hard to sell in this market. In a buyer's market, that's really hard to sell. So those are the situations that would make sense. But if your house is in normal condition, your best bet's to go on the market. Unless, you can afford to sell at 70%, you really want that flexibility, you're probably going to go on the market. It is so funny to me because they don't say anything about giving you full value. They don't say anything like that in their commercials. If they do, they're not telling the truth. But normally what they're trying to do is get you to just call them, just to get the opportunity. That's what they want. That's why they spend so much money on advertising, because they just want to get in front of you to try and see if they can convince you to sell their house to them. So listen, it can be the right situation for some people, but it's not going to be the right situation for most. So just be aware of that. If you are thinking about selling or buying or whatever it is, I'd love to have a conversation with you. My information is below. I hope you'll reach out. I'm here to work with you, help with you, and understand what's best for you, because I work real estate through relationships. I work by referral only. I don't pay for leads. For me, it's about taking care of my clients and having them refer me to everybody. So listen, I'd love to work with you. I'd love to talk with you. So guys, I appreciate you listening to Real Talk Real Estate. I'll catch you next time.